Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in the game Pirates of Maracaibo. This is by Alexander Pfister and two other designers who got involved with this project. I think they designed the game first, and Alexander Pfister came in and brought it into the Maracaibo universe. So here's what the game looks like. I played it with a total of 4 players, and I did pretty well. I didn't win, but I did pretty well in my first game. It is I don't know, it's a pirate adventure exploration game with heavy Euro elements that does feel a little bit like Maracaibo, the original Maracaibo, which involves a one-way action selection track where you're sailing and exploring. But this does sailing very differently. It does exploring a little bit similar to the original game. I have 2 mechanisms I want to highlight that really stand out for me. One is the composition of the map itself. So at the beginning of the game, you set out some tiles, like this island right here is a tile. You cannot sail onto or through this island. You have to go around it. Along with smaller islands and a bunch of cards, like characters you might encounter, ships that you might encounter. I think there might even be some event type things in these cards. They're in a specific format, and you sail from left to right toward the island. So on your turn, you can sail 1 to 3 spaces by default, and you must end up closer to the main island. I think this is Maracaibo itself, than when you started. So this yellow player right here cannot sail right here, but they can sail anywhere in this column, and then depending on how many spaces they can move into these other columns. And then you get a benefit once you finally move on to Maracaibo itself. Play over 3 rounds. So this movement system is really cool, but I really like this map system. So they use cards to do this in a way that works out with the same spatial element to hex tiles. I think the cards work really well. Cards shuffle better than hex tiles. In this format, I think the cards look great with the water. And one of the really cool things about it is that one of the main things you do in the game is you visit these non-islands and you actually gain the cards. By default, if you don't want to gain the card, you can just gain $5. But oftentimes you are paying the cost in the upper left and gaining the card itself for an ongoing benefit, an end game benefit, a one-time benefit. But by pulling the card off the map, it means that you replace it with another card. And over the course of the game, you actually end up with more and more permanent action spaces, these islands, the small islands. And so over the course of the game, it's as if you are exploring this uncharted area of the world and finding more and more islands there. And it also means that as you continue in the game, you have more agency as you look ahead in terms of planning. I guess you do have the agency of looking ahead to seeing what cards will be there, but you know for sure that an island isn't going anywhere. That if you get to an island, then you're gaining the benefit. And so it gives you a little bit more agency as you look ahead, more control and more information as you look ahead as the game progresses, as there are more islands to look ahead at. The other mechanism I want to highlight is the raiding mechanism. So this is kind of the combat mechanism of the game, but it isn't really all that combat-y. It just means that on certain spots, you raid and try to get something, try to get treasure basically as a result of raiding. When you do, you roll these 3 dice and you pick one of the dice to gain. And based on that number and some other modifications, that number results in a combination of benefits. It's really small, but you can see it right here. Basically, you're spending raid points to gain different benefits. And then you're often burying that treasure that you gain if you gain some treasure. You can't use the same. So like this raid benefit is spend 1 of the raid pips to gain a point. So at worst, even if all 3 dice roll 1, just 1 pip, you'll choose one of them and you get a point, a victory point. Now you can't spend, now say I use this green 5, I can't gain 5 victory points. I could spend like 1 to gain a point and then 2 to gain, I think it was $3, a certain amount of money over there. So you have to spread out the points. But one of the really cool things about this is that not only are there ways to influence and change and upgrade the pip value, the total pip value of the dice that you gain. So if I choose this 5, I might have an ability that says add 2 to that. So we actually have 7 to spend. But also there are ways to upgrade what you can spend raid points on. I don't know if we have any that I can actually point out really. Oh, here's one. This one says spend 2 raid points to gain 3 victory points. So I really like this upgrade system. You're choosing to improve your ability to raid, not just how well you raid and how many points you have to spend, but also what you can spend points on. And because you can only spend raid points on different things, or different conversions, then adding these benefits actually means quite a bit. So if I really want to go after points, because I can only spend 1 raid point to get 1 victory point, if I add this upgrade right here, then I can gain, if I have 3 raid points, then I can gain a total of 4 points at that point, because I can use it for this one and that one. So I really like how this raid system works and how it expands the potential of the raid benefits that you receive. Those are my 2 favorite mechanisms. There's obviously a lot other things going on in the game. There's an exploration element. This whole upgrade element is really neat. But overall, I think the exploration, the use of these cards, and how they evolve over the course of the game, more and more permanent islands, plus the raid, everything involving with the raiding mechanism, I really, really like. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you've played Pirates of Maracaibo, if you have a favorite mechanism, or if any of these remind you of a mechanism in another game, feel free to highlight that in the comments below as well. Thanks.